Blog Talk Radio.
Heavy light, heavy breathing on the dance floor. All the volume speakers says the beat is taking control. Press against your body like you painted on my skin. All your sex is seeping in, and I can feel my feelings. You're paralyzing all my inhibition. Got me on the edge, and I can feel you pushing. Holding nothing back, 'cause you were in my zone tonight. Oh, hey, 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 hey. You dim the light, you whispering that good, good. Giving me the lies, telling me you wish you could, could. Get me out of here, 'cause music's not your time. Oh, kissing on me and saying come on. Can I take you home? Explore the side of me when I lose control. Not usually naughty, get you all alone. Gonna let.
Welcome to Mind, Body, Spirit on the Back2Us Radio Network. It's 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time, and today is Sunday, June 8th, 2014. My name is Neo, and my co-host is Jody. The song you just heard was Lose Control by Dylan Michael, and today we're talking about sex, part 2. Mind, Body, Spirit is a show hosted by two men of trans experience, and Jody and I pretty much share our lessons, the lessons we've learned in our lives and in every aspect of our lives throughout our transition. My name is Neo Sanjay again. I am a business owner, a speaker, life coach, and the author of my coming up book, Right Mind, Wrong Body. And you can find out more about me at neosanja.com. That's neosandja.com. And I'm going to let Jody Helfand, my co-host, introduce himself.
Hey there, I'm Jody Helfand, and I am an author and a professional keynote speaker and a professor, and my new book is coming out in July called Transforming Yourself, and my website is transformingyourself.com, all about transformation and how to make positive change happen in your life in easy and sustainable ways. So I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me again.
Awesome. Well, like I said, today the topic is sex. Last week we talked about sex, and apparently the topic was so interesting that we got hundreds of downloads, and we decided to do a second part. And actually, while I'm talking about it, I want to ask everybody if you could go on iTunes and find the Back2Us radio, and if you can rate our show, if you can rate the show in general, the network, the station in general, that would be great, because it will keep us up on iTunes and our ratings up. So if you could do that, that'd be great. And again, we are going later on to bring our guest from last week, Marla Renee Stewart, the sex architect. But we can start. I know that last week we talked a lot about, what did we cover? Dysphoria, connectedness, sexual energy, all those things. So I just wanted to go ahead and get into the topic, the sex, topic. I know everybody's interested. We've had a lot of questions last week, so I really hope that it's going to be a great show again today.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So I was thinking it might be an interesting decision here to start with the topic of intimacy and to talk about how intimacy plays such an important role when thinking about sex, and the idea of intimacy as being really a key ingredient to setting up everything else, because we do focus on the body, mind, and soul here, and intimacy really focuses a lot on the soul. Last week we were talking about the heart, remember, and we were talking about connecting with the hearts before you're intimate, and facing each other and sending each other heart energy. That was very powerful. We had a lot of questions about that, and I was, wondering what you think about that. Have you done that? Did you try it out?
Yes, I mean we've done a lot of things as far as connecting. If you're, because the misconception is that if you're connecting sexually with your partner, it has to be all physical. But what you said about the heart, about the soul, about the spiritual aspect of it, like we talked about yesterday, like the eye gazing thing or the affirmations, just making sure you're both on the same level before you are both sexual, because sometimes we go with different energies or different expectations, and we bring our baggages basically into the sex or into the relationship in general. And that actually brings me into the topic that I want to talk about is soul ties. I don't know if you've heard of that. If you've heard of soul ties, have you ever heard of this concept?
No, what is that?
The concept of soul ties is basically every time you have sex with somebody physically, you actually get linked and connected to the person. So
I have heard of this. Yes.
Right, but you probably heard it in a different name and context.
Yes.
Because every time we go ahead.
No, I was just going to say when you're intimate with someone, you're part of, after you've done that, you're part of their frequency, you're part of their cellular energy, depending on how intimate you get with them. But they're part of you. So continue.
Exactly.
Tell us more about that.
All right, that's pretty much that's exactly what it is. It's basically a connection that you have with the person when you are engaged in a sexual intimacy, sexual experience. So basically, every single relationship that you go in, you bring back all the soul ties, all the baggages that you've accumulated over the years. So that's not necessarily, you're right, like that's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing.
I know.
It's a matter of recognizing the patterns, right? There are things that that you might bring into a relationship that are not necessarily good. Sex can be healing, but it can also be, not so good. So, I always say everything we do in life is a choice, and we've made the decision to make it. And sometimes unconsciously we make certain decisions that are not useful for us. Whether it's deciding that a relationship is hurtful, or deciding that we don't trust our partner because they might cheat on us, or deciding that it's okay for our partner to be abusive and things like that. We've made the decision. Nobody, even if you don't say that out loud, at some point, the person going through that over and over in different relationships with the same patterns have made the decision unconsciously that I am not worthy enough and I deserve this. And usually, this pattern starts with the sexual energy that we bring in from our past relationship. So how do we break soul ties? There are many things that you can find about those things. But what I find for me is just a cleansing process. Whatever your spiritual beliefs are, or energy cleansing, it does not even have to be a religious thing, but just being aware of it, being aware of the energy, and deciding to break, consciously and purposely break the soul ties, break the past. And it does not mean that the people that you had sex with were bad people. It does not mean that you don't keep contact with them. It just means that you cut the contact, the sexual aspect of it completely,
That's about being honest about that with your partner, and about being honest about who you've been with, and not having regret, as long as it was consensual, not having regret or saying, why was I with this person? Or, because that all of that is energy that it's not spent in a productive way if you're regretting the past, So and that's part of something that we bring in too. And then there's all the other ideas of fear and guilt and insecurity, and these getting all this out of the way presents a really good foundation for the beginning of a healthy sexual relationship. But it takes complete honesty, really, really bearing yourself and not worrying about being judged. And, that's where being accepted by your partner comes into play. Like, no matter what you tell your partner, you're not going to be judged by it. Well, how could you have done that? You don't want a partner who says that to you because it's like, you need a partner who is completely accepting of you so that you can break the soul ties. Because if your partner is judging, you're not going to be able to break the soul ties, because that judgment is going to create a barrier between that, right? And I think the other thing that's really important to talk about is, with intimacy, a very big subject, at least since I've been in the community for over 10 years now. I don't believe it's been that long, but it's been that long. The subject is always about, a lot of questions have always been about the penis, our cock, these kinds of things. And in relation to intimacy in our body, right, our relationship with our penis, our relationship with our cock, our relationship with whatever we decide to call it, because everyone will call it whatever they want to call it. They have a right to call it anything that they want to call it. But whatever we call it down there, whatever we want to call it, I call it my cock, whatever I can call it. I call it all kinds of things, actually. I don't even care anymore about that. But I would say that part of the soul ties relates to that relationship that we have with our genitalia, right? And
our bodies, yes, in general, yes.
And our bodies in general, and being able to communicate that with our partner as well, because and also being able to communicate sometimes what the testosterone can cause to happen, like, what if we do sometimes think with our penis? Or what if we do, everybody has a different experience in this way. But I've had a lot of emails from people saying, since I've taken testosterone, all I can do is think with my dick, this. Now, how much of that is conditioning? How much of that is real? Are we just conditioned to think, okay, now we have testosterone, so we must think with our penis? Or can we just push past all that and say, okay, is it really happening? Like, is the testosterone really making that happen? And if it's really making that happen, are we able to transcend it? We are aware of it. Okay, we don't have to give into it. We're aware of it. So now, do we really want to be thinking with just our penis? No. You know what I'm saying? So it's all of that. That constant awareness is really, really important. It's really important to be aware of what's going on, body, mind, and soul, during intimacy. And the soul ties are a huge, huge part of that, too, like we're talking about.
All right, because I agree. The thing is, it's true. It's a fact. It can be proven that, yes, testosterone will increase your sex drive. Now, does that make that true for everybody? Maybe not. Everybody's different. At the same time, I don't think that's an excuse to say yes because of testosterone, because I am transitioning, because I am a man now. I only think with my dick. I think that's going backward instead of forward. Instead of understand now both genders. I understand now what teenage boys go through, or I understand now what men go through who have not been taught or have not taught themselves or decided to learn from that. Because if we do go in well, because of testosterone, this is why I'm like that, then that next thing will say, well, I'm sexual and I'll do whatever I want to, and no does not mean no, and all those things. It's a slope where we use it for excuses instead of empowerment. Because to me, I see it as yes, I went through that phase where everything I saw reminded me of sex. I'm not gonna lie about it, right? It's like everywhere you go, everything you do, it's sexual and all that stuff. But then you learn to control it, and you learn to use it for empowerment in other areas of your life. You learn to be comfortable with yourself and loving yourself. But I know you brought up something about dysphoria. You said something about being comfortable with our cocks, being comfortable with our bodies and all that stuff. And last week we had a question about somebody had asked a question about the dysphoria in initiating. If you are not as comfortable with your body yet, how do you initiate sex with the person you're dating? Do you want to tackle that question?
Yeah, sure. Before I do, I'd just like to say something that, it definitely isn't an excuse, the testosterone, but what's very important is to have compassion for yourself in the process because it's so new. How could you know? So like your responsibility to yourself is to have compassion while also being aware and feeling the feelings that the testosterone is causing, but not necessarily acting on them just because you're feeling them. And that's really, really important because if we don't feel them, they're just going to build and build and build and then explode. But if we do feel them, we can move through them. And so it's a process. This whole thing is a big process, and we have to have compassion for ourselves in this process. We have to. So then tackling that other idea of how to approach, I can only give my experience, and this is mine only. So if it helps, that would be great. So my experience is this. My number one thing about it from the beginning was always, never, ever apologizing. Never, ever. There was not like, I'm sorry, but, or, I have this body and I'm sorry, never, always being proud of who I am and being confident in who I am. This is my body. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And so for me, going into the experience, telling someone with extreme confidence, almost as if a matter of fact, like sometimes I would just be like, by the way, I changed my gender. What are you having for dinner? It's like, or by the way, it's like, I have to tell you something. Oh, no. I never do that. It's like, then the person would be like, what do you have to tell me? It's just like, no. I'm not going to do it like that. I'm going to be like, hey, this is me, female. I never felt like a girl. I changed. I'm a guy. If this is going to be an issue, then we're going to stop. Because
so with that, let me ask you a follow-up question with that, what you just said, right? It sounds great. So your reaction is hopefully the person is fine and comfortable with that. Now, what if the person goes, oh, really? Even better. Do you get offended or do you get excited?
Well, I don't get offended very often. But I think if the person says, that's even better, well, I think it depends on who you are. But if someone said that to me, I would just say, well, what do you mean by that? Like, let's talk about it.
All right.
And then, because the thing about it is if the person says, well, that turns me on because you're a girl too, I'd be like, no, I'm not a girl. And guess what? We're not going to be doing anything intimate. But if the person says, you see both sides, you do that, then it's different. See, I think really what's important is to ask questions. Ask a lot of questions. Instead of making an assumption that the person, because not only do we have to have compassion for ourselves, but we have to have compassion for other people who might not understand, but who have the best intentions. right?
Right, and also knowing who we are looking to connect with for more than just one-time sexting, because what you said about the question and the answer tells you a lot, not only about the person, but also about what you are looking for and if that's what you want. Because, like that question, that answer that you give, if they say, I see the both of both word, I see both in you, that's, to you, it's like, oh, great. But to somebody else, it might be, no, that's not the goal, because the reason I bring this up is, it's the thing of like women who say they will not date a biological man, but they will date a trans man. For some trans men, that's a great thing, and for other trans men, especially if they identify as straight men, it's offensive because they think, oh, so you don't see me as a man. You don't see me as a man if you're not going to date a man, but you're going to date a trans man. And the issue now does not become, I will not date women who only date trans men. The issue becomes the person. Why do they say that? Why do because I've heard some horror stories from women that say things like that and create even more dysphoria and damage and hurt unconsciously without realizing that they do that to the men that they're talking about, right? Like, oh, okay, I could see how you can be man and female, or things like, I really wish you still had your breast, or things like that. That's really like, did you really just say that, So,
yeah,
I think it's an issue of what you're really looking for, or if the person sees you as a potential partner, if they genuinely see you being trans as a great thing, or if they see you as a sexual fetish. We see sexual fetish, we see men having sexual fetish for trans women, but we don't talk about women having sexual fetishes for trans men. We don't talk about that.
Yeah, that's very true. And also men having sexual fetishes with trans men, because a lot of my friends are gay trans men. And that's something we need to talk about, because even though, for me, I'm not gay, and I don't know how you identify, but it's still very important to talk about it. I mean,
everybody knows I identify as straight. Everybody knows I identify as straight, but...
Yeah, but you know what? I don't even, if I'm ever attracted to a man, fine. Like, for me, I just identify as the energy. I'm attracted to the energy. It's that simple, So, for me, but I think, I personally have never been with a man, ever. I've never had sex with a man. I never touched a penis, none of that. I just, I love women, but the thing is, I'm not closing myself off, of course, if something like that happens. I don't know, whatever. But the thing about it is, it's still important to talk about, because there are a lot of men who do want to genuinely date trans men, but the question is, why are they seeing us as men? Like, what's the story there? And then on the other part of it that you're talking about, which is hardly ever talked about, women, the novelty of a trans man, for women wanting to date trans men because we're like a novelty or something like that, and that's important to talk about too. And really, communication is at the heart of all of it, because when you're in the dating world, and let's say you're single and you're in the dating world, and let's say you identify as bisexual or whatever. Thing is, when you go out with someone, talking about this is really important, and if that's something you want, if it's something you want to do, it's important. That's the thing, because I really believe I really believe that we need to do what makes us happy, and we need to make our own choices, and we can't impose behaviors on other people. We have to do what's good for us. I really honestly believe that in my heart. We can't project, because you're this, you must do that. That's ridiculous. You're your own decision maker, and you make your own decision based on how you feel, how you identify, what makes you comfortable and happy. So that's
very important.
Very important.
And
it's actually the debate, in our community, people feud about that all the time.
And not only happy, that's the key right there. It's so simple, it's so common sense, yet it's when you say it out loud, then it's like duh, everybody knows that, right? But yet it's not, because when what you say is you have to be happy, you have to do what makes you happy for yourself, and unfortunately, people also go into how can I call it? Like they compromise, right? They say, oh, okay, she just said this. Like, I always believe that people will show you and tell you who they really are if you pay attention.
Yes.
But sometimes
yes.
you see somebody who's so desperate for sex that they will consciously or unconsciously delete some information so that they can serve the purpose that they need to serve. So they can hear a cue that triggers them something like, oh, it's okay if you're trans man, it's actually great because I don't like the penis, something like that, whatever. And they still go, what? Did she just say that? But they go, well, she's hot. And they go for it. And then it goes more than once, and eventually she's becoming more comfortable, of course, and she's becoming more of herself. And then she say things that trigger you. And then they go into I cannot deal with this relationship, or I cannot believe she treats me like this, or I cannot whatever. Well, she's always been like this. You just haven't chosen to see it until, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's not a good or bad thing, and I'm not saying the woman is a bad person or the trans guy is a bad person. What I'm saying is, don't go into the relationship for selfish reason, because to her, you also wasted her time, because maybe that is what she was looking for, but you let her spend time with you even though you are not the person she was looking for. You know what I mean? But anyways, when we come back, we have to go on break really quick, so we're going to take a break. And if you have a question, please stay on the line and ask all the questions. When we come back, we're going to have Marla Renee Stewart, the sex architect of Atlanta, and then we're also featuring today Dylan Michael, who's a great artist, and he's also actually a finalist in the Best of Atlanta 2014 contest. And you can find out about his music at DylanMichaelMusic.com. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Fantasize about the way we sit together. Let me explore your boundaries. Grab my hand, let's dance forever. Submerge me in this moment. Won't be scared, no need for rushing. I'm not against taking it slow. It's open for discussion. I really focus when it comes to what I'm looking for, and all I've got on my radar tonight is you. I'm used to getting what I want and when I want it fast, but I just might make a compromise tonight for you. Everybody's dancing in the hood, but there's something kind of special about you. I'm fixated on things that we could do, and I'm down to work it out if you want.
Alrighty, we are back, and like I said, that was Dylan Michael, D-Y-L-A-N, Michael. So we have Marla Renee Stewart. She's going to be talking to us about great stuff. I know when Jody and I talk, we go on and on. We could talk for years. So now I know people want to listen about some of the good stuff, the actual sex thing. So I am going to let Marla introduce herself. Hey, Marla.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
That's good, I hope. Hey.
We're good.
So my name is Marla. I am the owner of Velvet Lips LLC, and just listening to you two talk today, I was thinking about, Jody particularly, I was thinking about how you were talking about soul ties, and Neo mentioned soul ties, and so I kind of wanted to go back to that for a second because there was a study that was recently put out about soul ties. I mean, genuinely like biological reasons for soul ties, I guess, or biological sort of significance about soul ties. And that is that when you are fluid bonded or when you exchange fluid, like, whether it's vaginal fluid or, seminal fluid, when you're fluid bonded, you actually take on the DNA of that other person. So it's literally you're literally being tied to them, and so you carry that DNA with you throughout your whole entire life of all the people that you have been fluid bonded with. So I thought that was pretty fascinating when I read that.
You
so
want
I just
to know?
wanted to put that. Huh?
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say that just as we have cellular memories from our childhood, from our whole life, we have these same kind of soul ties like you're talking about. However, it doesn't mean that we have to have them forever. Because you can reprogram cellular memory. So, like, there's all kinds of work that I've done in that area, actually, with childhood memories and things like that. And with these soul ties, you can also, like, let's say you want to do that. I mean, not everybody wants to do it. Some people might, there's all kinds of different circumstances. But there is a way to undo that. Like, you don't have to carry that DNA with you for the rest of your life. That you can reprogram it. You can reprogram it. You can change DNA. So I just wanted to put that out there. Yes, you can. And I've been doing that work actually here in Hawaii. So I know that's kind of an intense topic, but it's just like I got so excited because I was thinking, this is new. I've been doing this new work here. It was, it's very interesting work. That's for another show to talk about, but it is possible. So you do not have to carry that with you if you don't want to. And I'm sure, in cases where, someone was forced, you know what I mean? Or something like that, right? Or even if you were in a bad marriage and it was the intimacy, the sex was not good, but it was consensual, but it wasn't good, or you don't want to be tied. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to be tied to that. You can get rid of it. And like I said, that's a whole other show because it involves techniques, rituals, deconstruction, and things like that. But I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like there's some definite unlearning going on. I also wanted to just sort of address physical, the act of physical sex and, the sex. I know you all talked about the sex drive before with regards to the sex drive going up and down. And has there ever been a time, I guess, Jody or Neo, when you've experienced sort of low sex drive or high sex? I'm sure you've experienced high sex drive, as they all say, but low sex drive and what that does for you, I guess, periodically, maybe throughout your relationship. Maybe you can address that.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that first?
Sure. Well, to me, I don't know if I have, how can I call it? My sex drive is not, I wouldn't say low, like doesn't get low per se. It's more of, it's not connected to just the sex or the physical part of me, right? It's usually, if my sex drive is quote unquote low, there's usually some other areas in my life that I have to work on. everything. I mean, I'm the type of person that works with every area of my life, and they have to be complete. They have to be at the same level at the same time. And usually, if something is off, like spiritually or financially or in my workout or just the stress level and all that stuff, usually that's when the sex drive goes low. So I don't know if the question was, what do I do with that? I just make sure I'm balanced. I just take time to breathe and to think and sometimes the sex drive is there. It's there, but it's not there to do something about it. It's more of a, sometimes you want to release stress by yourself, if you know what I mean. It's just,
masturbation.
You just want to let it out, like really quick. You don't want to go into the whole play and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, I definitely have experienced highs and lows, and I can channel sexual energy too now if it's imbalanced. But really for me, I really strive for balance in all areas of my life, and I work toward that. I haven't achieved that yet, but I'm working toward that, and that includes sex. So, because when I first was doing, I definitely had a phase where all I wanted to do was have sex. So that was probably years ago, and sometimes I still have those phases, but for me, because I'm going more toward balance in my life, I learned to recognize it, is this real or is this just, does this have to happen or does this not have to happen? And I think that relates to coming also, because I used to have this, I don't know where I got this idea, probably from society and the canned brainwashing of, of the thinking of everything, but I had this idea that I had to come. No matter what, I had to come. Even if it takes hours and hours, I have to have an orgasm. And it's like that idea was just canned. It's a canned idea. And it's like I would think, well, genetic men always come, so I have to come. You know what I mean? Like it was the most ridiculous thing. And then when I finally realized, well, it's just pleasure. Like there's lots of pleasure, there's exchange, there's a lot of beauty that is happening. And, if you come, you come, and if you don't come, you don't come. And so that relates to that sex drive question, because it's like being able to recognize, once again, it's about being aware, really being aware of what's going on with yourself. I mean, regardless of whether you change gender or not, just be aware of things. That's just like a universal idea.
Yeah, I fully agree with that, just being aware of your body and of yourself. And one thing that's really particular that I, tell my clients is that it also depends on the position of your genitals, right? So thinking about this question of, Jody, you were talking about how you were just so focused on coming, didn't matter what it took.
Right.
That thinking about the position of your genitals is really important, because some positions might not work for different people. If your genitals, sit, like if you're standing up and you can see everything, then it's going to be a very different feeling from if you were standing up and you can't see anything, like everything is down below, right? So whether it's up above or below, really depending on the position of sex is how I think is very, very important on whether you're going to be satisfied or not. Some people are going to maybe enjoy, doggy style, while some people won't, and some people may enjoy just grinding while some people don't, right? So it's really important to note the position of your genitals and where they sit and how you can sort of maximize their sexual ability. So I guess with that said, are there any particular positions that you find are most helpful for you when it comes to sexual positioning?
There, and this is just my experience again, but standing up and getting a blowjob, I love that. I love looking down. I love that because it gets the biggest it gets standing up. You know what I mean? And so, like, that's something when years and years ago I didn't really think about, like, because lying on my back, it's still, there's still length and stuff, but then when I stand up, it's just like all the blood goes, you know, and so that's helpful for me. Another helpful thing for me is being on top and putting my arms underneath my partner's shoulders, and you know, having that grind or that friction. And you know, the thing about it is that this is very important to talk about, because sometimes there is this urge in the beginning, like, especially when you have growth and it just grew and it's getting bigger, when you insert it inside, like, let's say you're having a heterosexual sex, let's say I'm having heterosexual sex. When I first did that, my tendency was to just go really fast. Like, I was so excited that it was actually inside that I was like, I have to go really fast. But then I realized early on that that's not going to happen, because I can't, if I do that, I won't come because it's too much. So I have to go slow, and go build until the end where I'm going really fast. You know what I'm saying? And so for my body, that works the best. But you have to figure out what works best for your body. And so, Neo, what about you? How do you if you want to answer this?
That makes sense. That makes sense. I see what you mean about the fast and slow thing. And it's actually an advantage, I guess you would call it, because you actually really learn your partner that way, right? Like what you said about the cisgender men sometimes who don't know. And it's interesting because we were talking about the statistics of the percentage of women who, even in their 40s, straight women who had never had an orgasm. You know, that's
right.
Probably because of things like that, because they are focused on themselves. But what you said about, if I go too fast, I won't come. It sounds like, that you're putting a focus on yourself. But by doing that, you also learn that, it's the wrong way to do it just because that's how we think cisgender men do it, right? It's by doing that you actually learn how to please your partner. And, that's important. And I like to talk about breathing, right? Breathing, by controlling your breathing or noticing your partner's breathing can tell you a lot more if you actually pay attention, because a lot of people are focused on either the things she say, and every person, every woman, that I'm talking from a straight perspective, because I know that this can relate to whether you're having sex with another trans man or a man or
a trans woman or
a trans woman or
right?
Right. But when I was saying woman, I was adding that too. But you're right, it depends. It definitely depends. But either way, from my perspective, any partner that you have let's just put any partner that you have sex with will be different. Will respond differently to the partner that you've had before or to your expectations. And so you can maybe expect them to say a dirty word, or to moan a certain way. And if they don't do it, you start working hard and sweating because you're expecting something, but maybe that's just not for them. Maybe for them it's the breathing or the other signs that they give you. Maybe it's the eyes dilate, or they turn to the back of their head, or maybe they bite their lips, or maybe they sweat more. Whatever it is, they can just give you cues. I know we were talking about sexual position, and then my mind just drifted like it always does, right? But with sexual position, it's the same. For me, it's I have to really be connected. I have to have a position where I feel connected either to the person or I feel connected to the person physically. Because, by that I mean if it's from behind, I don't necessarily feel connected with our eyes or things like that, but it feels better just because of the position and the way it's positioned, and I feel everything. I feel it more, if it makes sense.
Right.
Like,
it's... Yeah, that makes sense completely. I was going to ask more or less, how do you feel about all of this? Like, because, there's a lot of women who are partners of men like, trans men like us, however we identify, just there's however you want to do it, however you want to identify yourself is fine. But I'm curious, Marla, about, like, what is your perspective on this as a partner, as someone who is engaging in this? Like, what is your perspective? What have you learned, or what are you still learning, or what, I'd like to hear more about that.
I've learned that you really have to evolve with your partner, for the most part, because the body that you might have experienced when you first got together might not be the body you experience, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years from now, or whatever. So you really have to really evolve with your partner. I'm in a Facebook secret group, and they talk all the time about their partner's bodies and how they're changing and how they're feeling. It's and sort of like Neo was saying, like the connectedness part of them. Some of them may lose interest, right, because their partner's bodies are changing in ways that they haven't thought about before, that they're not used to, and that is huge, because that, for one, it could cause some real imbalance when you are thinking that you're trusting your partner all through this process, and then your partner really doesn't like the fact that you're changing, or is really just not willing to change with you. Right. So I think that's huge. But I also think it can be advantageous that your partner's body is changing, because you really can find new ways, new techniques, new thrills, new anything from sexual props to whatever the case may be. You can venture out and really think about how you both can take advantage of each other, or as a partner, just how you really can take advantage of your partner's body to give you, sexual satisfaction. So,
what do you mean by taking advantage? By obvious, can you specify that?
Well, what I mean by taking advantage is, we all are in a reciprocal relationship, and sometimes when you, put out the energy towards someone, you want that energy being put back towards you. So what I mean by that is just, when you're pleasing your partner, to also think about all the advantages that might come to you. So that's what I mean by, taking advantage of your partner's body. It doesn't matter who it is. It's just really, really being able to embrace it and love it and do whatever you want, or whatever you and your partner agree to, that feels good to the both of you. That's what I mean by, taking advantage.
Well, it's transformative sharing is what it is. You're just transforming together, and everything is changed. You're not the same person you even were 5 minutes ago. So even regardless of, changing gender or not, trans, this, that, even that happens in people who don't change gender. Like the idea of what you like sexually, what you don't like sexually, that can change. And, of course, our bodies definitely change. That's that is a little bit of a different. But if you also think about the way just a body, without any labels or categories attached to that body, how a body changes, we have to, accepting and embracing the idea of change and constant change enhances the experience of sex regardless, right?
Right, exactly. And like I said, it's just whether you're willing to evolve with your partner or not, you know. And sometimes people aren't willing, you know, to evolve with their partner regardless of, you know, how long they've been together. They just can't get used to the change, and that's something that's really difficult to, you know, cope with for some folks. But I think just really, like you said, just that, you know, transformative interaction, the fact that you both can reciprocate would be, you know, sort of advantageous to you both, and really, you know, of course, connecting and loving each other. So.
Yeah, and it relates to a commitment to working on yourself spiritually, because the way that you accept change and you embrace transformation, you know, I talk about this in my book, Transforming Yourself. The way that you do this is by having that balance. It's very important to focus on that and really work on yourself and commit to working on yourself, because if you're not, then you're not going to evolve. And that includes in the bedroom. Exactly.
I mean, and that's why I do what I do, right? Like Neo mentioned earlier about, you know, a 40-year-old woman, you know, not having an orgasm, right? It's like you really have to education doesn't stop, you know, after you finish school, right? Like education is always there. Sex education is always there. So there's always a need for you to do what you need to do to educate yourself in those sexual realms in order to be a better lover, in order to be a better friend, partner, a better person with intimacy, a better person with relationships. I mean, sex and sexual energy can facilitate in all of those arenas. And that's, you know, what I continually sort of, you know, stress, you know, when I do my work.
That sounds, yeah.
So I just wanted to plug in that we are actually, you know, by we, I mean Mala, Neo, and Jody, all of us are working on something that we can bring value for people at the conference in October, for those who are coming to the conference. And I had a lot of questions after last show this week. A lot of people sent me messages. I just want to mention that the conference is not only for trans men. It's for if you are a human being and you're born on planet Earth, then it's for you too. Well, we might even if you ain't born on planet Earth or you don't know yet, we might still.
If you're not from planet Earth, please come. God, that was great.
All right, then you might teach us something. We can learn from you, right? But yes, we are working on something. You want to talk a little about? You have about an idea that you have that can bring the most value, you know.
Oh, yeah, we're going to have some unbelievable workshops, things that have never been done before. I mean, because the thing is, what we're all about is talking about stuff that it's time to talk about it. It is time to talk about it. So, you know, you come to this conference, it's going to transform you by the end. It's going to be unbelievable. I'm going to be doing speaking. Thomas Beatty's going to be doing speaking. The types of workshops that we have planned, let's just say we're going to, like, really surprise you in very amazing ways, and we're really excited, aren't we, about these things?
Right. Oh, no, it's going to be great. But yeah, I think I was just looking, I was like, where did the time go? Did we just finish the show? That's crazy. But anyway, this was great. I just want to remind people to please go on iTunes and rate the show because we need more ratings, we need more views. We're getting hundreds of downloads, but sometimes people are forgetting to rate it. And it's just like you can't be a bestseller unless you buy a book and people know that you bought the book. You know what I mean? So it's the same, right?
Yeah.
We want you to rate the show so we can know, so other people can know that it's a great show, so that it helps us, it helps our sponsors, it helps everybody. But anyway, this was it for today.
Thank you. Can we say anything about the business directory real quickly? The business directory we're doing?
Actually, yes. Thank you for reminding me that. Oh my goodness. So we are putting together a business directory for trans-friendly businesses. So if you have a business, whether you're straight, gay, cisgender, trans, black, white, Latino, Earth, Martian, whatever, if you have a business and you would like to expand your reach to trans customers, basically what we're going to do is we're going to put a search engine for trans-friendly businesses on 3 of our websites. And the search engine is basically people are going to look for categories, business categories, their city, their state, the type of business they're looking for, and all that, so that they can find the business. So if you have a trans-friendly business, or if you're a professional, please go to ftmfitnessconference.com/business-directory.
And for some
so that's
doctors,
for the business directors.
You can also doctors, and you can also email jhrose22 at hotmail.com. jhrose like the flower 22 at hotmail.com, and this is very, very high exposure. So if you want to get your ad seen by thousands of people, this is the directory to be in.
Right, exactly. So this is going to be a lifetime membership for the website. I said last time that it was going to be a 1-year membership, but I changed it. I said, why not? Lifetime membership. You're on for life. We're just going to print it for 2014 for the conference. Every conference attendee is going to have the directory. Other than that, it's going to be a lifetime membership on the website, 3 of our websites.
Lifetime membership. Amazing. That's amazing.
Lifetime membership, because I decided, you know what, it's our first conference. Let's give value to the people that jump in first, the people that believe in us first. And so that's that. That's the value that I want to give. If people are giving back to our community, we want to be able to give them back as much value as possible as well. So ftmfitnessconference.com, ftmfitnessworld.com. If you want to email me personally, it's neo@ftmfitnessworld.com. I can answer any of your questions. And I'm going to let Marla give us our contact information as well, how people can reach her.
Yes. My the name of my company is Velvet Lips LLC. You can find it at velvetlipsllc.com. My website got revamped and just went live today, so you can see that. Also, I'll be coming out with a radio show called Intentional Sexpectations. I'll be featuring a guest every month and talk about different sexual education issues. So it's going to be also be on Back2Us Radio, so I'm really looking forward to that. So thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And so, guys, we hope that you enjoyed the show. Jody, you can reach Jody. He gave you his email, and it's jodyhelfen.com as well. Our next show is going to be on money, and it's going to be July 13th at 6:30 p.m. And we're going to talk about
how to make money for surgery, all these things.
All those finance-related questions, please send us emails. I'm going to let Anise introduce the sponsors and close us for the show for tonight. So thank you guys again.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode of Mind, Body, and Soul with Neo, Jody, and the original sex architect of Atlanta, Marla Stewart, and also the host of our newest radio show on Back2Us Radio Network. Today's episode, airtime. Thank you so much, Kappa Omega Omicron fraternity, for covering the cost of all of our airtime for the entire year. We could not bring this show or all of the shows that we have, all 19 of them, without Kappa Omega Omicron paying for our airtime. So airtime sponsorship is huge. Attorney at law, Angel Van Wieren, who is the best bankruptcy attorney in Atlanta, the best kept secret. So if you are in need of some financial advice and you were thinking about bankruptcy, you need to talk to Angel. Her firm is Van Wieren, VanWieren law firm, and that's her name is Angel Van Wieren, so please reach out to her. Another sponsor of the show is Roberts Financial Services. You heard Owen Roberts on our Community Connections Friday, a couple of Fridays ago, and Owen is a huge advocate for us in the LGBTQ community, and Owen is also going to be the sponsor of the Create Love Financial Awareness Workshop on June the 28th, and maybe I could even persuade Owen to come on our show here and, as a guest, since you all are talking finances, because nobody does sex like Marla, nobody does sex.
Absolutely.
Nobody does finances like Owen. Owen is absolutely amazing. So again, and please, please, please support the first annual FTM Fitness World Conference and also the 7th annual anniversary edition of the Brown Sugar Vibe. Back2Us Radio is a proud sponsor of the Brown Sugar Vibe anniversary edition, and that's going to be at the I forgot where it's going to be. It's going to be at a theater in the Old Fourth Ward. But you can find more information if you go on our Back2Us Radio fan page, and there will actually be a link to the Brown Sugar Vibe, and you can buy your tickets. Whew, okay. Well, Neo, Jody, Marla, thank you all so much for tonight. And, of course, Dylan Michael, thank you so much for allowing us to feature your song. So I'm going to close us out tonight with the song Tonight by Dylan Michael featuring Samantha Falk. All right, everyone, we will see you. Marla, will we see the listeners next week?
Yes, we will.
All right, so Marla will have her first show on air next Sunday, 6:30, and we will talk to you all later. Have a wonderful week, everyone. And don't forget to tune in on Tuesday night, Table Talk with comedian Reggie Jackson.
Well, I'm a tall drink of water. I am too hot to handle. I am everything you wanted and more than you imagine you can ever compare me to all those other boys who can't give it to you like I can. Now say, do you believe it? I'll keep you coming round day after day, night after night. Keep good loving good till we break through the morning light. You'll never know what hit you. My love get you high as a kite. Shut your mouth, just say yes, baby. Don't say that you might.
Yeah.